Today on Time About the Movies, the Shrek series gets the third film that it rightfully deserves, and the conclusion of a pretty good trilogy of films. Not as good as the first two movies, but it certainly beats the crap out of Shrek the Third. Shrek Forever After, or at least it was supposed to be the end of the series, but of course, that's no longer the case. But we'll delve into that as we go along here. But after Shrek Forever After, we have Saturday Night Live returning to the big screen as they bring Will Forte's popular character of MacGruber to the big screen in MacGruber. It's Memorial Day weekend 2010. This is Time About the Movies. New episode coming your way next.
Shrek is back with Donkey.
I see you.
Plus, feed me if you dare. Fiona. And this guy.
Either or.
I'd rather not.
Do it.
Perfect! Donkey to the rescue!
Be the first to see the last.
Uh-oh.
Dreamworks Shrek, the final chapter.
I'll call you!
In Real D and IMAX 3D.
Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we're taking a look at the two films released on May 21st, 2010, Memorial Day weekend, and we have our first movie here, easily the biggest of the two, and that is Shrek Forever After. And, this is coming a couple years after Shrek the Third put a real damper on the series in general. The first two movies in the Shrek series were great. Shrek the Third was the one where you could clearly tell they were just in it for the money and they didn't care about continuing the great stuff that was involved in the first two movies. But then again, you didn't have the same director, Andrew Adamson, in this one. Nor do you have him here, but you have certainly a much better identity with this movie that feels more authentic to the other two movies. Plus, it says something when the best thing that came out of the Shrek series in 2007 wasn't the third Shrek movie, but the Shrek Holiday Special, Shrek the Halls, which is easily the best thing about that year in 2007 when it comes to Shrek in general. But but in 2010 we got what was supposed to be the last movie of the series to kind of present a better finale to the series, and thus Shrek Forever After was born. In Shrek Forever After, Shrek makes a deal with Rumpelstiltskin to give him one day to feel like a real ogre again. Little does Shrek know that he's actually signed away his life for good, as Rumpelstiltskin has become king of Far, Far Away and has caused chaos. Donkey, voiced by Eddie Murphy once again, doesn't know who Shrek is. Puss in Boots has become a beast, played by Antonio Banderas once again. And Fiona, voiced by Cameron Diaz, has become a Xena-like warrior princess with a group of other ogres. Some of them are voiced by John Hamm, Jane Lynch, Craig Robinson. Now Shrek must kiss Fiona to break the curse and set everything back to normal. And let me just tell you something. This movie already proves that it's better from the first 20 seconds. The first 20 seconds of this movie is already better than anything in Shrek the Third. That spark of energy that was missing in Shrek the Third returns in a way that is done very well. I mean, Shrek the Third started out nothing like the other movies where you had a book and somebody introducing the story ahead. But in the third film, they just basically jump right into the movie, and you could just tell you were in for an off ride to start off with. I mean, it just felt off from the very beginning. But here, it felt more authentic. It felt like what you were expecting to see from the other two Shrek movies. And because that, amongst other things, this movie still makes for a much enjoyable film in the third film. Like I said, it's nowhere near as good as the first two movies, but the story is nowhere near as complex as the last film was. But it's not all original either. I mean, it's a Wonderful Life story. I mean, they basically took the Santa Claus 3, the Escape Clause route. But kind of like with that movie, unlike that movie though, where I don't want to say it was badly done, but this one definitely does it a whole lot better. I mean, it works very well to the film's advantage, and yeah, it's a been there, done that story, but they do throw in some nice little loopholes and twists and turns that really don't come out right from the get-go overall, and make the story stand out better on its own. Like there's little bits and pieces here and there where they take you think you know what's going to happen, but then they throw this little curveball, and it makes sense to who's doing this, because the guy who's responsible for that is known for doing that type of stuff, changing the rules, so he always comes out as the winner. But the characters overall are very well written here, and they do fix a lot of the possible plot holes that the trailers and commercials show, and they are explained in there. Like, why is King Harold in here in his original human form? Remember, he dies at the beginning of the third film in a very awkward way that they thought was supposed to be really funny, but it really wasn't. It was actually pretty lame overall, but they do give him a reason to come back in this one. It's basically a flashback, but it also did a pretty good job of creating good emotional moments for the characters that don't feel forced or out of place. You feel everything is about the emotional moments of here. You feel for Shrek when he realizes that, you know, he wants to have that life isn't over again and wants to have that day to himself, not realizing that when he makes that deal, he basically said goodbye to his family and friends that he had behind him. Like, these people that have been more than supportive of him up to this point, that's no longer there anymore. And it's just like, yeah, it really does get to you when you see that, seeing how far he's willing to go to make this happen. And even in the end, when he finally comes to that realization that he always had the best life possible, like, he didn't need to go back to his old ways in general. I mean, this movie did emotional moments so much better than the third film did. Like I said, the third film just felt like they were just cramming it in there and just, like, throwing way too many things in there that were completely pointless. This film does have a lot of flaws to it. Like, there are useless characters. Like, the Pied Piper is a character that really did not need to be in there whatsoever. There's no need for that character in there. They don't even mention the Artie from the last movie, who's become King Arthur. Like, his character was one of the few things I actually kind of liked about that movie, and they don't even mention him at all. Like, he doesn't even get a mention in here. Far, Far Away is not even mentioned for most of the movie in general. Like, it's not, it doesn't feel like, it just makes the last film seem even more pointless when it's just like, even the people who made the film were looking at this and going like, yeah, we don't even want to mention that this third film even exists anymore. And possibly the biggest problem with the film overall is that they do tell some stupid jokes. I did not show the commercial where the worst joke of the movie is in there, where Donkey's telling Puss in Boots that he is a catastrophe, and Puss telling Donkey that he is redonkulous, and then having a laugh. Yeah, that shit ain't funny. No matter how hard you want to try to pretend it is, it's not funny. Like, stuff like that gets old real damn quick, and it's in there, and they are easily the worst parts of the movie in a long shot. I mean, that's how bad those jokes are. But they're so bad I'm coughing right now. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. But anyway, despite those flaws, this definitely is the better end to the Shrek trilogy. This should have been the third movie. It's nowhere near as good as the other two movies, but it doesn't have to be as good. It doesn't have to be. It just needed to make us forget that the last third film existed. Shrek the Third existed, and it did that. It did that very well. It's a good movie. It's no Shrek 1 or 2, but it definitely delivers a much more engaging story and a more proper finale to the series than what had come beforehand. I'm actually glad that for the longest time it was supposed to be the end of the series. It's definitely an underrated film that has gotten a lot better over time. It really is a film that has aged pretty well. And now we know, of course, that this is not the last of the series, because we've got the fifth film coming out next Christmas, and I'm hearing a lot of very conflicting concerns about that movie. Some people have said, the stupidest rumor I've heard about this is that the next film is supposed to be like a live-action CG hybrid. It's just like, why would they go down that route? Like, why would you want to do that? And I'm hoping that's not the case in general, but I do like the animation designs on Shrek and on the Shrek family in this movie. We only see the daughter, who's going to be played by Zendaya, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to get rid of the other two kids in that movie. I really don't think they're going to be that crazy to do that, but I do like how the animation has aged pretty well. Shrek and Fiona have aged too. Of course, like you could tell they have wrinkles and all that. If you watch some of the images in the trailer that came out a couple months ago, not even a trailer, but the cast announcement. But yeah, I'm glad they're going in that direction overall. I think I would have liked it if they didn't go down that route, but let's face it, everything's going to get made into a sequel or a reboot at this point. You might as well just go ahead and just do it with Shrek now and get it over with. Hopefully the film turns out pretty well when we get it next Christmas, but yeah, that's all I got to say about this one. Shrek Forever After, definitely a much better Shrek film than the third movie, no question about it, and it's one I do recommend checking out. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that is Saturday Night Live bringing one of their classic skits back to the big screen. It's been a while since they've done it, but they feel like they had a winner with MacGruber. Do they, though?
2 days ago, a Russian convoy carrying the X-5 nuclear warhead got jacked. Yesterday, reliable sources informed us it's made its way to U.S. soil.
I'm going to turn Washington, D.C. into a pile of ash.
We need the best. Get me MacGruber.
I'm in.
What?
I'm in.
Hello, MacGruber. This is a very tall order. Veritable dream team of killers.
Well, then I'll just have to put together my own dream team of killer stoppers. I need you, Frank. Then I'm in.
So, MacGruber, we understand you recruited quite a team.
Frank Corber, Tanker Lutz, Tug Beamer, Tug Phelps, Vernon Freedom, Vicky St. Elmo.
MacGruber.
I'd say it's a pretty good team. Do not underestimate this man.
Where have you been?
I just took an upper decker in the master bathroom.
Upper decker?
Yes, where you take a number 2 in the water tank and not in the bowl. You look great.
How did you know I was wearing a bulletproof vest?
You're wearing a bulletproof vest? Awesome.
Tick, tick, tick,
Time to go save the world.
tick.
MacGruber.
Last time I saw you, you had a grenade launcher in one hand and an M16 in the other.
And you had just ripped a dude's throat out with your bare hands.
Classic MacGruber.
I mean, the man is a fucking genius, MacGruber. But, yeah, after The Ladies' Man bombed about 10 years ago, SNL Studios basically shut down their movie department as a whole and put the focus back on their television stuff in general. And that's kind of where we've been at since then. And, they didn't... And also, another reason behind the lack of SNL movies is because there really wasn't a lot of choices for sketches that could have been translated to the big screen property. I mean, it's kind of like where we're at right now with SNL. Like, Saturday Night Live is not the Saturday Night Live it was back in the day, where they just had all these memorable characters, and they were just ripe and ready to go for the big screen. We haven't had that in a long time, and it's just one of the many reasons why Saturday Night Live is kind of deteriorating at this point, but MacGruber was essentially a parody of MacGyver. MacGruber stars Will Forte as a special arms operations agent, and he's tasked in every episode with deactivating a ticking bomb, but becomes distracted by personal issues, resulting in the bomb's detonation, and presumably the deaths of his companions and himself. One of his companion in this is Kristen Wiig, who plays his kind of love interest in here, and sometimes you get a cameo from somebody like a Betty White, or even the real MacGyver, Richard Dean Anderson, shows up. And Saturday Night Live saw the potential in turning MacGruber into a movie and hopefully relaunching their plans of bringing some of their SNL sketches to the big screen with an even smaller budget than previous adaptations. I mean, this thing only had a $10 million budget to it. It's not to mention the film was hyped up big time with all these trailers and promos coming out. You know, the film was getting good reviews. The word was getting out of the film. I mean, Universal and Rogue Pictures had a reason to sell it because there was no way this movie could possibly fail at all. It only made back $8 million. It was already out of theaters after 3 weeks. On a $10 million budget, you're telling me that a company like Universal is so bad, is so uninteresting to anybody out there that even a movie that only cost $10 million to make can't even bring back that budget? I mean, what the hell is going on here? Like, I mean, to make matters worse, the international grosses, which can usually save a bomb, didn't really do that. They only brought in one half of it's $1.5 million. It didn't even make back its $10 million budget. Just think about this for a second. It more than likely made its budget back through DVD and TV airings. Yes, probably, but still, you made this movie for $10 million, and yet you still couldn't make this back. When Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer are making movies as bad as they are, and yet they're the ones that are making their money back, and yet this one can't, it's no wonder why the world is so fucked up, honestly. Like, it really is not a shocker at all that we are so screwed up. No wonder we're on the cusp of World War III at this point. But if you're following the news, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, enough with dealing with reality right now. Let's talk about the actual movie itself. So you would think with all this negativity, the movie clearly was bad, right? Well, not exactly. As I mentioned, this is based off a sketch from SNL where you have MacGruber called back into action with the help of Vicky St. Elmo and a Lieutenant Dixon Piper, played by Ryan Felipe, to take down his arch-enemy, Dieter Von Kuff, played by the late Val Kilmer, who is in possession of a nuclear warhead and bent on destroying Washington, D.C. And the main problem with making a movie based off an SNL sketch we've all seen at this point comes down to simply one question. How do you make a 90-minute movie based off of a 3-minute sketch? Well, luckily, MacGruber not only did it well, but it paid it off big time, because this movie is actually really, really good. I mean, this was actually a hilarious, kick-ass movie, and it managed to put in a story for a character from a sketch that's only 1 minute long and made a great movie out of it. That is hard to do. Plus, it has the greatest version of the MacGruber theme song you're ever going to hear. I mean, what more can you ask for in a movie like this? I mean, this is about as good as a comedy as you can get. I mean, the film is just so good. You could tell that even though the budget was as small as it was, it pays it off big time in the end. And, you know, Val Kilmer is great in the movie, playing this over-the-top villain. The ending, like the way his character gets killed off, it's so cheap looking, but goddamn, it makes me laugh every single time I see it. Like, this movie's nowhere near as funny as something like The Hangover or Hot Tub Time Machine, but they took a 30-second sketch and made a great 90-minute movie out of it. And for that, you can't help but applaud the movie for doing that. And all the cast is great. The laugh-out-loud moments are there. It's silly. It's over the top. It tried its best and succeeded in a number of different ways. This is definitely one that I'm really glad to see has gone on to have a cult following to it. They made a Peacock series not too long ago, which, let's face it, at this point, pretty much any Universal project can be made into a Peacock project. But this was definitely one of the better movies to come out of Universal during this tough stretch that they were in. Like, there was, like what we said before, there's literally about a 2-3 year gap where they just had flop after flop after flop. And a lot of them were not great movies, but a lot of them, there were some good ones. And this is definitely one of the better ones. Like, if you have not seen MacGruber, see MacGruber, man. This is a funny fucking movie, man. I can't recommend this one enough. MacGruber is definitely worth the price of admission. Worth the price of admission? What the hell was that? What I meant to say was, it's worth checking out. You could find it somewhere out there. It's probably on Peacock, but yeah, it's definitely one you want to check out. So I don't know why I ended it on that one, but that's going to wrap this episode of Time About the Movies. And I probably need a break right now, because I need to prepare myself, because next time on the show, we have 2 more movies to take a look at, and the biggest of the 2 new releases is, remember the Sex and the City movie, how successful that was? Well, they made a sequel, and just when you thought it couldn't get any worse than the first film, it somehow got worse and even more offensive than the first movie did. Sex and the City 2, we'll take a look at that, and we'll also take a look at Disney's latest attempt to try to get into the video game adaptation game with Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, with the help of Jerry Bruckheimer, Jake Gyllenhaal, Ben Kingsley. Does it pay off in the end? Well, we'll take a look and see. We'll take a look at both those movies coming up tomorrow on the show. But until then, until I finish burping. But until then, thank you so much for watching this. I am an ugly pig. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching this. If you somehow enjoyed this, and more power to you, Godspeed. But if you did enjoy this and want to see more, please go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, the notification button, as well as our playlist, as well as the last episode we did. So whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.